Hi there. Happy full moon. It's a full moon in Leo coming up, and I definitely wanted to make sure to honor this full moon with a layout. I'm just here in my own little life, plugging along, trying to do what I can to get things improved in here periodically over time. I just also wanted to burn a little bit of burnable here to lend some smoke to this, good smelling, cleansing smoke. And also just to kind of put out there, I had been, in my last layout, talked a little bit about Archangel Michael because of the Nine of Swords card that came up in that layout. And that's been kind of floating around in my psyche since then, Archangel Michael and cord cutting. And this is a great time to do that kind of a topic here because full moons are wonderful for releasing things. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and talk a little bit more about a layout that I'm going to do based on the Knight of Swords and Archangel Michael to just help you know how to release what you want to release on this full moon in Leo. And so I'm just going to go ahead. It's just a little bit of a variation on a layout I've already created for advice. And this, I'm just going to expand on it a little bit and then talk about the placements here. What can we know during this full moon in Leo about releasing something that is no longer working for us, that we feel kind of deep down we would be better off releasing? What can you know about that, and how can you work with the full moon to release it? And what is it? What is the relationship or issue or dynamic, or what is the issue that would be beneficial for you to release? I'm going to ask that to be identified as well, just to help you know if this reading has relevance to you. It's going to be helpful for you to know. And how can you best work with this full moon in Leo, which is tomorrow, to release something that's no longer serving you for your betterment? How can you work with cord cutting or Archangel Michael, right, to help you release some of these things? And the reason Archangel Michael came up is because he carries a sword, and a lot of people have a spiritual relationship with him. So this is going to be in honor of him, this layout. Let me just lay it out real quick. And like I said, this is just an expansion on a layout I created a while back to just give practical advice and wisdom for the present moment and the immediate need that you might have, right? And so to me, that's a great layout for right now because we're entering and have been entering this full moon in Leo. How can you work with this full moon to release something? And then just a few more here. Be ready to read it. I got a new mic here. We'll see how it goes. I've been reluctant to really invest a ton of money yet in a mic because I don't know which ones are the legit ones. And the last one I bought wasn't expensive, but I tried to invest in a decent one, not just bottom of the line, and it has given me so many problems that it's like I'm gun shy about buying a mic now. So I invested in one that's not going to be that much of a disappointment if it doesn't work out. So we'll see how it's going, and then maybe from there I can work on getting better equipment overall. Okay, so here we have this all set up. So the position up here is going to this is the new position I added to this layout, which represents Archangel Michael, the Knight of Swords, and it represents the issue that is going to help you to release on or that you have been wanting to release on this full moon. You can work with the full moon, right? So the card is the Six of Cups, which indicates to me somebody from your past that you might be working on letting go of, an old relationship, and trying to have a new start. You're trying to let go of this past relationship and enter into the new. So this is going to be your layout, or it will probably have some benefit for you if that's true for you, that you've been struggling and trying to let go of a past relationship. The card, text-based card associated with this lover from the past, or Six of Cups, is do not cast your pearls before swine, which is a biblical verse, but that has a lot of wisdom around, I sometimes think that the concept of forgiveness gets used against people who are really heart-centered people as a pass to just, well, you're supposed to forgive, as if that means that this person never has to be accountable for their behavior towards you, for example, right? And so I chose this for my deck because I like that, though it's biblical and forgiveness is a big concept in the Bible, it's also saying don't waste your time where it's not valued. Don't cast your pearls before swine. So you recognized at some point that you're recognizing that it's going to be better for you to let go of this past relationship, that you've invested a lot of heart and time and care and love, and it was towards somebody who didn't value it, right? You cast your pearls before swine, I guess, is the biblical phrase there. So that's got some real honesty to it, which is what we ask for. The Knight of Swords is a truth-carrying card, and it's truths that can be difficult to take in. And so that's been a difficult truth for you to come to terms with, that you really put a lot of love and care and time and devotion and love towards a relationship and a person that just didn't value it. And there's sorrow with that, and you've been trying to have a new turnover into a new life. This this full moon in Leo can help you with that. And it's a great full moon for it too, because Leo is a card of confidence, representing pride and confidence. It can be in a negative way, just like any astrological sign, but here I'm seeing that this can help you come back into your confidence if you're able to release this old relationship. I think part of why it maybe has been difficult to release is because it really speaks to something in your childhood. It's not just, this card being the Six of Cups right now isn't just showing up to me as a past lover. I feel like it's also showing me that there's a real tenderness about this that's been very hard for you. That's why it's been so hard to let go, because you love this person in kind of a very tender way. Maybe felt protective towards them a little bit, right? So now here's where you're at. How can you use this energy? That's the central issue up there, is that you've been trying to let go of this past lover and having a challenge with it. So now the center issue is saying keep the torch lit, keep going. You're on the right track, recognizing that you need to let this go. You've been balancing the situation of the two realities that you feel of like love for this person plus hurt and disappointment that they aren't either reciprocating it or able to appreciate what it has meant to you, right? It's just, you've been in this kind of limbo of like, I really want to release this and move forward. I know it's not healthy for me anymore, but I'm struggling. And the full moon can help you. You have felt blocked somewhat in being able to move forward, and you keep I kind of am hearing or feeling like there might have been points where you're like, maybe they are changing. Maybe this is gonna, the focus has been on the relationship and on them, and maybe they're gonna come through in a way that surprises me and I'm not gonna have to let go. But the more and more time has gone by, the more that you see that it's blocking your progress. And to keep going on trying to let go. It's a wise decision that you've made around recognizing that something in this inability to let go is holding you back. You've been in this kind of limbo, right? The challenges here for the relationship and why it's been so difficult is because triangulation has been involved. This is a masculine to you. This masculine may have had divided attention and a lack of commitment involved. And that's what the challenge has been, is that maybe you kept thinking maybe they will heal this brokenness in our relationship, either because of a third party. Triangulation, I have found more and more as I read, because this is a deck I created about 2 years ago, and the more I read it, triangulation can show up not only when there's a third party, but when there's an issue like an addiction that's impacting the dynamic. So that could be, but there's been a lack of commitment here in some way for this masculine, and that's been the challenge, that triangulation for you, that you've had to really face facts about. What's your advice, or sorry, not advice right for this moment, but the lesson from this relationship? What's been a lesson for you about this relationship? What has it taught you in your life? And it has taught it's taught you a few things. It's taught you that you know that there's something for you. You know that it's possible, that you can have an abundant, where your heart's needs are met. Something about the dynamic of the relationship has taught you that. I'm not sure why that is, but it's also taught you to let go, that you're not the one in control, and to trust that there is something for you that's going to be joyful in the future. Maybe going through the trials of losing a person like this has taught you like self-love, right? Or self-empowerment of like, my worth isn't defined by somebody else. I define my worth from within me. And so you've started recognizing that, and recognizing I need to let this go because it's undermining my sense of self-worth and self-love, right? Also, what I'm seeing here is a lot of news and gossip. So a lot of interference in the relationship itself from outside opinions, outside people. This might have been a relationship that had a large community around it, that everybody chimed in. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody had a thought. It might have been like a story or a gossip subject amongst a lot of people. That's been a challenge here too. So you've had to really let go that there's a lot of parties involved that you haven't been able to control. But you have recognized at some point through this experience, it's not good for me anymore, and I've learned that I'm worth more somehow by having this negative, hurtful experience, right? It kind of reminds me in part of why I wanted to do a layout like this, because I recently had an experience where this gets right to cord cutting and letting go, because cord cutting might be a way that will help you, doing some sort of cord cutting on this full moon to let go of this relationship once and for all, and maybe also let go of the ancillary parties. Before I read the rest of the layout, I just want to, because it feels like this story is going to have relevance for someone. So it's my story, but I'm kind of having this sense that it might help if I tell it. So I entered a new setting in my life. It was a work setting, and it came with a little bit of pressure because it was sort of like a peak setting for me of achievement in my career and in my development as a therapist and whatnot. And so when I got into this new setting, there was a lot of emotion and expectation attached to it, and like really a lot of meaning for me, like in terms of personal achievement, anxiety about whether I was going to be able to be in alignment with the philosophies of this setting, etc. One of the things that I experienced right off the bat was I adored the people that I worked with, my colleagues, and it had been a long time since I really felt that kind of kinship with a group of people. So it's almost like I went off the deep end a little bit with that in terms of believing, because I liked these people so much. It's like I jumped into an assumption that was all, we were all in that same understanding of that we all really are devoted friends and a community of colleagues, but also friends. Like it really almost felt like a family dynamic to me. And that's where it started to become instructive over time, because I ended up having some circumstances happen at that job at that job place after a few years there, where I was like, I just can't, this philosophies of work here are way out of alignment with my beliefs as a social worker, and I need to just go because I don't feel uplifted and supported by the people I need to, the people in power who I feel need to have my back. I don't feel they have my back. No matter where I'm turning, I'm getting to the point where it's almost like I don't know who I can trust here. I just started seeing an underside of working in this place. At first there was like a pink cloud phase maybe, or like rose-colored glasses, and then I started realizing this is actually not the right setting. You should probably go. And it was a very hard decision because it was going to bring a big loss of income for me, And it was a big, scary move to make, but I was doing it. I decided I'll just take a lesser paying job in a field that I know I love within my field. Long story short, I'm trying to be concise here, but when I left, I had this assumption and expectation that I was going to stay intimately connected with this group of people that I had come to respect so much. And it's like a group of around 5 people or so for me. And it's not like we were this really tight-knit group, but I perceived it that way. And I now see that it goes into some inner child stuff for me from my attachment in my own family of origin, which is why this has been such a triggering experience for me. But it has taken me a long time to unpack it. Because when I left, basically the people that I felt so close to really ghosted me. Like, even though I was the one leaving the work setting, I really made an effort to try to stay connected and say how much I valued them and wanted to stay connected. And nobody ever responded. Nobody said one word. No one stayed in touch with me. The only reason I've stayed in touch was my effort with a couple people that I still speak to. But otherwise, all those relationships just evaporated, and I was very hurt. And I couldn't understand. And now this is several years later that recently every so often it comes up, and it's like I have to re-experience it. And I kept being reactive to it at first. Like, you don't care about those people. Let go, move on, cut cords. Like, that's how I kept reacting. And finally, it's like my inner higher self or my higher wisdom was saying, you need to do the work around this. You can't just pretend to yourself that you don't care. You do care, obviously, because it's still years later bothering you. So go deep, figure it out. What about this dynamic has been so, like, touching such a raw nerve within you of sorrow and pain and abandonment and whatever. So now that I've done the work, I'm really truly going to be able to cut the cords with this. And it's because I was willing to go within rather than be reactive to my own feelings, which is where I kind of started. Like, I kept really degrading myself almost about it. Like, why would you give this energy to these folks that let you, and I was also in this experience of feeling let down by them. And I had to really check that too, because I projected a lot of that this was like a family feeling. That was how I felt, but that's not necessarily how everyone else felt. And it's all been very, very instructive and somewhat recent. So this might be that kind of thing where you keep circling around a betrayal and trying to figure out how can you let it go. That might be one way, is to start going within and listening. Like, when did you first feel a feeling like this? What was happening in your life? Were you a child? Were you a young adult? Where did you first come up across this type of experience? And what do you remember about it, right? Just go within and start asking yourself. That's what I had to do, because denigrating myself about why I couldn't let go is clearly not working. It's years later and it still stings, and I'm hurt by these relationships, and I truly don't understand. But it's not for me to try to understand. I have no clue what's going on in those people's lives, right? It probably has nothing to do with me. So for some reason, I wanted to share that story because it was humbling and it hurt. And I do still feel the sting a little bit, but once I recognize, like, something deeper in you got triggered from your childhood, like from high school, from being left out, mean girls, stuff like that, all different developmental stages of going through stuff like that. I just didn't anticipate, I guess, that something like that would happen in a workplace. But if you think about it, it happens all the time. We create those dynamics as adults all the time in churches and workplaces and whatever, feeling left out, gossiping. Those are all, they don't end in high school. They continue, right? So if you're trying to transcend it, it can really help you to go deep into, like, where did I first start to feel a feeling like this? For me, it was, do not cast your pearl. Stop staring forlornly at these people that didn't care to stay in contact with you. They're not for you. These people are not for you. So anyways, yeah. The rest of this layout that we'll get to now is, what's your advice? What's your advice for this full moon for dealing with what you've been trying to let go of, which here has been a past relationship, a past love, someone that may have felt like a soulmate, which is why it's been so hard to let go, because it impacted you so deeply. Kind of like what we were just saying, right? So this is your practical advice for this full moon. Get your house in order, cleanse your space, clear out clutter. So to me, this is very specifically space cleansing, energy cleansing, which full moons are wonderful for. Smudge your home, smudge yourself, cleanse, you can even do things like look at a place where you, like, for example, one way I do it is I've see the place in my home where I cry my tears when I'm really hurting. And I don't have a very big home, so it's one specific place. And when I'm wanting to cleanse my space, not only do I smudge, but I really try to smudge around that area, and specifically where I've released a lot of sorrow, and just help it further release from these four walls, right? So cleanse your space. That's going to be the first one to helping you let go of this relationship. Be in an energy of the Nine of Pentacles, which is the card in the tarot of self-sufficiency and self-generating abundance. It's not in any way reliant. Your 10 of Cups is coming. You know that. That's the lesson. You know that there's a 10 of Cups for you, but it wasn't here like you thought. It's been a very sorrowful realization that you've had to struggle to come to over time. Probably because, like me in that one workplace, why it took me so long is because it was baffling. At times I wasn't willing to look at why it was so, but it finally happened recently where I started praying, like, why? I'm sick of perseverating on these people. I want to not care. I'm tired of it. I want to move on. They're probably not even thinking about me, right? Like, why do I keep feeling so hurt by this experience? So that might help. Being willing to look at what is it that makes you feel vulnerable, cleansing your space, and examining your worries. That's it. That is it. And then I love to see it. By doing that work on the full moon, however that looks for you, journaling, picturing yourself in Empress, Queen of Pentacles energy, where you're just generating and attracting that yin energy of like, I'm attracting the new, I'm releasing the old. What's coming, if you're able to do this work and cleanse your space, is impregnation, abundance, fertility, new start, the Fool, and a new good news coming in. It's going to come rushing in. So use this full moon. I really hope this reading is reaching whoever it is meant for, because it is very positive and very encouraging. And it's really wanting you to hear that you are thinking clearly. This is the wise move. It's been a very difficult decision for you. Even today, in this moment, I'm sensing that you've still, right up into this reading, been kind of struggling to know if it's even really the right move to let it go. Like, you might still have some worries about the impacts of doing that for whatever reason. And this is coming in loud and clear that this is going to really, really benefit you, and that it's from a wise mind place that you've realized this is not for you anymore, and it's become a block for you in your own progress. And going within and visualizing yourself as sovereign and healthy and capable within yourself, you already know. That's why you've started down this path. So this is just saying, keep going. It's really beautiful. So I thank you for listening to my story too about the center, because this is going to be a great full moon for me too, to help finally release that hurt from those relationships that really felt like a conundrum to me for a long time, why I couldn't let it go. It helped me to do that inner work and tend to my inner child, so that you might recognize, like, I thought this person was my soulmate. I'm having to release them, and now I'm going to transform the Six of Cups into taking care of my own inner child, not worrying so much about this person anymore, right? So I'm sending you love and gratitude for listening and watching and liking and commenting and subscribing, all that. I feel so fortunate that I had a kind of frustration with my last reading when I had a lot of technical issues and problems trying to get set up in here, which is an ongoing challenge in this little space. But I'm so grateful to even be getting to do this. It is so gratifying for me. I can't even express how fun it is for me to read cards. I just absolutely love it. I'm in the right place at the right time in my own life to be doing this. I don't care if there's thousands of other readers on YouTube. I don't care if my community of Western-based, therapeutic practitioners don't understand a move like this. I just truly don't care. It's been so liberating and so much fun. So thank you for being a part of it in whatever small way. And I hope you enjoy this full moon.